post-Frank Reich era begins this weekend. Which leads to the question, what does a perfect start to the post-Frank Reich era in Carolina look like? You fired him for a reason, right? You fired him because something was happening you didn't like. That's what David Tepper did. Something was wrong. What do you want to see this weekend? I'm going to keep it generic. I'm going to keep it simple, and I'm going to keep it, as the kids say, 100.
Keep it real with me.
Keep it real. Something different. Keep it as simple and as vague as we can. It better look different. It better not be the same old, same old. Try new things. You didn't fire Frank Reich to do the same things that Frank Reich was doing with a different person wearing the big headset on the sideline. Right? If you wanted the same old, you would have kept the same guy. If you make a big move, you expect big changes. Now, yes, does it go without saying that part of what you want is a win? Yes, right? Like, we could be that specific. What's the best start to a post-Frank Reich? 400 yards passing and 4 touchdowns for Bryce Young and a blowout win over the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Woo! An empowered Bryce Young. I talked about that earlier, right? Bryce Young taking control. Great. Energy. I think the post or the one game bump is in play here. Right? It's always tough. I don't pretend to be a body language expert. Although I was, communications major in college.
There you go.
That's the very difficult
shout out Delaware.
Shout out Delaware. FBS Delaware. By the way, just got a big weekend for announcements for my alma mater. I'm sure most of you care about this a ton. Delaware is joining the Conference USA football, so they're now FBS football from FCS. And they announced earlier today getting a varsity women's hockey team.
Wow, okay.
One of 45 in the country to play varsity women's hockey. So, hey, no big deal. Big week for the Blue Hens. But that's where I got my mass communications degree, mass communication focus. I did take a class that was all on nonverbal communication. Big lecture, all about how people blink more when they're lying and all that kind of stuff. And it was one of the more interesting classes I took. But I don't pretend to be an expert in it. However, I can say that it didn't seem like many of the players were severely missing Frank Reich in the interviews that they gave this week about the coaching change.
Kind of felt like the mood was, man, it is what it is.
There was some we all played a part in it. He's gone. But Bradley Bozeman actually used the words right choice. I don't know if he was it was in the part of a bigger conversation, but he was like, I guess you got to give David Tepper some credit for making the right choice. It's almost like he meant to say making the tough choice, but the Freudian slip was right choice. So maybe there's a world where Frank Reich, for all of the nice guy that he is, and trust me, everyone I've talked to that's ever interacted with him said he's a super nice guy. For all of the nice guy that he is, maybe he wasn't quite a galvanizing force. And with him out, maybe that does shoot up the energy a bit. So energy, winning, empowerment for Bryce Young. There's a lot of little details I want to see in the first game from post Frank Reich, but most importantly, try new things. It better look different. And I know at times that can be tough, right? Because you can't put in a whole new playbook in a week, right? You kind of have to deal with the playbook you've been given. But you can find little wrinkles, right? You can find, hey, we've been running this play too much. Let's run a fake off of it.
We've been throwing to Adam Thielen too much. Now, granted, Adam Thielen might be their top player.
Up until this past weekend, Adam Thielen was wildly productive. Maybe it is hey, Jonathan Mingo, we drafted him in the second round. He's fallen by the wayside a bit here. Let's feature him. By the way, I'm not saying everything you try that's new is going to work, right? It's not like Frank Reich was so bad. was it the fill in the blank game, match game from back in the day, right? Frank Reich was so bad. How bad was he? That if you just do everything the opposite of what he did, you're going to be the best team in the NFL. Like, that's not what it is. But you have to try something new, if at the very least, just to cross out potential solutions, right? It's like, all right, let's try throwing it deep more. Maybe that'll keep defenses more honest. Then Bryce Young gets sacked twice. All right, cross that out. Didn't work. All right, well, actually, Miles Sanders, right? He was in the doghouse, wasn't getting many carries. Let's see if Miles Sanders has some juice. Let's run more horizontal runs, meaning tosses and sweeps to the outside. He gets knocked down for 2 loss of yardage plays. All right, cross that out. That's not going to work.
Let's try some reversals.
Like let's
Adam Thielen gets tackled before he can even throw it to the other guy. All right.
I mean, it can't like. By the way, these are all the worst case scenarios on trying new things. Like if they all don't work, you just keep crossing them out and going to the next idea. But you have to take into account that Frank Reich seemed to be set in his ways a little bit, right? And that's quite honestly how coaches get. If they've had success with something years and years and years, it's very difficult to be like, well, it didn't work for a month, so I'm going to throw all that out. That doesn't work, right? It doesn't compute in their brains. So the fact that something was happening that made them move on from Frank Reich faster than anyone in the last 60 years, 11 games as head coach, and he got fired. That's unbelievably quick. The fact that happened means something was going on that they very much did not like. So the new staff, it's not even the new staff, the same staff in many new roles have to look around and say, well, we better do something big, very different, right? Because doing what that guy did got him fired faster than anyone in basically NFL history. That's not what you're looking for. You know, I talk about these meetings, these mythical, metaphorical meetings where you get in a big room and you say no bad ideas. And it's I think, important for a team, right? I once had this described to me this way. The difference between a great play caller and a genius play caller is very simple. A great play caller calls plays that we know at the right time, right? Like, you know, it's funny. I played college football. Both of my cousins played college football quarterback, and I know a ton of other college players. You start talking, everyone's playbook has it's 70% the same, right? You all have the core of your playbook is the same. You might call it something different, but as soon as you figure out oh, we called that a dagger, you call it a skinny post, whatever. As soon as you get to that, it's all the same. So a great play caller takes plays that are in everybody's playbook, when to call it the right time. A genius play caller can design a play that we've never seen before, right? And the best example recently of that, well, first of all, the Dolphins are doing a whole bunch of it. The Dolphins, with all their short motions and everything, they're wildly innovative. But there was a play a couple weeks ago, USC ran it, where it was a horizontal to the line of scrimmage flea flicker, right? Traditional flea flicker is a really fun play everybody gets excited about. You hand it off to the running back. They take 2-3 steps towards the line of scrimmage, like a dive. Then they turn around and flip it back to the quarterback. This play that USC ran was Caleb Williams handed it off to the running back running to the sideline. He slammed on the brakes, turned around, ran right back to the quarterback, and then tossed it to Caleb Williams. Ended up being a long touchdown pass. I had never seen it before. I don't even know how you think of that. I don't know how you think that's possible. Turns out Lincoln Riley's a genius play caller. I want to see that type of innovation from the Panthers. If you can't give me that type of innovation, at least give me the plays we know called in a different way, right? At least give me more pass on early downs or something that is going to make me say this looks different than what Frank Reich was putting out there.
But just don't do Miles Sanders and Wildcat.
You know what? I know. No bad ideas, Graham. I said no bad ideas. If you can do it with a different twist, right? If you can do it with, hey, we pulled both tight ends out, we put 2 extra tackles in there or something. I don't know. No bad ideas. No bad ideas. It's the most frustrating part about having a no bad ideas brainstorm is when someone actually comes with a bad idea, but you are like in your brain, you're like, I said no bad ideas, so I can't make fun of them right now. So if you have the meeting with the coaches and you're like, no bad ideas, what should we do? If somebody's first response is Miles Sanders and the Wildcat, you have to be like, fine, we'll put it on the board. We'll consider it, even though everybody knows.
Well, to be fair, it probably feels like any logical idea that they've given David Tepper in these owners' meetings. He's probably said the same thing, no bad ideas. Hey, why don't we keep some of our top players and just wait till the year after to draft a quarterback? That's a terrible idea.
Do you think anyone suggested keeping Christian McCaffrey?
Oh, yeah. I'm sure. I'm sure.
Do you think anyone suggested picking C.J. Stroud? We'll never know because everybody's not throwing it. 10 years from now, everybody in the building is going to say, I wanted C.J. Stroud, if it works out that way. If Bryce Young is great, everyone will say, I never wavered.